Hi, this is Linda Ellers from Great Glass Galore. Today I'm going to teach you how to make a stained glass snowflake, which is a little window hanging. I have two examples down here, so when you take my class, I'm going to have all the glass pieces pre-cut, so you're not going to have to do any cutting. You're going to have to wrap stuff in this copper tape and then solder it together. So when you pick out a pattern, you can see this is Snowflake 9B, this is Snowflake 2. On the bottom, you'll see that there are, it tells you what you need to pick out. So you're going to go over to my bins, and this one will take 4 1x1 squares, 4 1.75 by 3 inch diamonds, and 8 globs. So these are the globs. They can be called globs, nuggets, or pebbles. Okay. They come in different sizes. And in this case, you can see they don't really match the pattern size. That is perfectly fine. You can go bigger, however big you want on the outside. The only time you have to worry is with this pattern. There are globs in the middle of glass pieces, so they're surrounded by glass pieces. That glob has to fit in there and has to be pretty small. But again, these ones on the outside can be as big as you want. So the other parts we have jewels. So in this project, there is a jewel. So when you're doing stained glass, a jewel is a glass crystal, but a crystal is faceted on both sides, and in stained glass we use jewels and they're flat on one side, so they lie flat into your project. The other thing you have are bevels. So this is a blue diamond bevel, so these already, you can buy them pre-cut like this. Usually you can get clear colors, are harder to find now. But again, they're flat on one side, they're going to be thicker in the middle, and then they're going to angle out. So I'm going to show you how to wrap copper tape in all of those. And so in my class, when you go to pick out glass, you'll see a bin like this, and on the back it'll have a little sign that says 1.75 by 3 diamonds, and then the boxes will label what colors they are. It'll say clear and white, blue. It'll say if they're bevels or not. I have orange and black. So there'll be all different kinds of bins. So pick your glass pieces out first, okay, and then your globs. And then I'm going to take, I've pre-foiled, you can see I pre-foiled a bunch of these in the silver copper tape, but I've got a few pieces that I haven't yet that I'm going to show you how to foil. Okay, so before you foil your pieces, so once you pick out everything, you need to clean them, and that's so the foil sticks better. So we're going to clean these in Windex. So on your table, there'll be a tub of Windex, and you're just going to throw your pieces in. The jewels can crack easily, so be careful not to drop stuff on top of the jewel. And then I'm just going to take everything out on the towel and wipe it dry. So what you're trying to do is get off any oils on the glass pieces, and like oils from your hands, and that'll prevent the foil from sticking. Okay, so let me grab a towel. And the globs are kind of the hardest part, because it's hard not to hold them without getting any fingerprints on them. So I usually will wear a glove or pick them up with just a towel and handle them as little as possible. Okay, so we're going to foil these. We're going to wrap these in a silver tape. When you do stained glass, usually you use copper foil. Okay, so this is a roll of copper tape. It's sticky on the back side, so this backing is protecting the sticky side. So you have copper foil, and then you also have black backed foil, and there's silver backed, and then you have silvered copper foil. So this was what we're using. It's silvered on both sides. Okay, this allows the pieces to be silver all around. Okay, so if you foil something in copper, this copper will age and turn green and turn dark and look nasty. So what you have to do is, if you foil something in copper foil, you have to tin it all with solder, which means get a light coating of solder on it, which takes a lot of time. So we use silvered foil. It is now hard to get. So this is what the packaging looks like. It's Venture Tape silvered copper foil. We're going to use 7/32 and 1/4 inch, or if you're going to buy one package, I'd go to 1/4 inch. But generally this costs 3 times as much as the copper foil, so we don't use it for everything. Venture tape also sold out to 3M, and now 3M is not making any at this point, so it's very difficult to get. So you may have to foil your things at home in copper and tin them, which I will show you later. But for now, we'll foil them in the silvered copper foil tape. And I have 2 sizes, the 7/32 and the 1/4 inch. During class, I just call them medium and large, so then people know what they don't have to remember the numbers. And so and then as we go on, I have a lot of 1/4 inch left, so we may just use the large on everything. But generally the medium size, the smaller size, is used on the jewel and the bevels. And some of this, if the glass is about the same thickness as the bevel, I use it on that. This looks thicker, so I'm going to go 1/4 inch. Usually these Mardi Gras glasses, the streamer glasses, are thicker. You're going to need to go wider. So pretty much just the jewels and the bevels are usually the thinner foil. Okay, so I'm going to start by foiling a piece of glass first. So we're going to get the 1/4 inch tape. And again, this is, you'll need to wear your glasses. Do you see my glasses? Right there, right there. And I have monovision contacts in, but I like to see even better than the monovision. And what I'm going to do is, this is the way I hold the foil. However, you can hold it so you can see, but I am right-handed. And so I separate the backing from the tape sticky part, and I face the foil left and the backing to the right. I make a hook with my right index finger, and I bring it around under, and I separate the back and the front with my thumb. And then I'm going to start a 1/4 inch in on the edge. So I'll start by lying the glass a 1/4 inch in this way on the tape. And then I'm going to look, as I roll the foil up, I'm looking how much foil is hanging off this side and how much foil is hanging off that side. So let me get a little pointer. So I'm watching how much foil is hanging off of this side off the glass and how much is hanging off of that way. And I'm looking directly down into the tape right where it's going on. I'm not looking down the side because I've already stuck foil there. So I'm going to work my way up. And again, if you get off, you can pull some off, but then it becomes less and less sticky. So I'm going to work my way around. Now this method works for me because I'm right-handed and right eye dominant. Most people are right-handed and left eye dominant. It means my close eye is my right eye and it's watching this. It's going over watching this. But you may have to hold it this way, straight at you, to look at it and see it. But I hold it to the side like this. Okay, so I'm back to the beginning, and I'm going to overlap the foil all the way to the edge. So it's going to cover this seam. Okay, so I'll come all the way to the edge. I guess I'm losing everything here. Scissors, there we go. Scissors, so I cut it right at the edge. And now I need to do what's called crimping, which is pushing it down. So I'm going to use my fingers, and I'm going to push it down. I'm going to get to a corner and create a seam like I'm wrapping a present, and then I'm going to overlap the next edge. Okay. Once I do that, it's still not pushed down hard enough, so I'm going to take what they usually call a FID, F-I-D. There are different shapes and sizes. I just take a dowel that I've run through a pencil sharpener, and I'm going to use that end that I've run through the pencil sharpener, and I'm going to rub down the edges. And maybe you'll do 3 or 4 times a side. Don't sit here and do a dozen times a side. You'll be here all day in class. So 3 or 4 times. Then you're going to do top and bottom. So top, I'll flip it over, do the other side. Okay. And then if you look real closely, there's a little bit of where that seam is, it makes a jagged edge. If you're really picky, you could cut that off. So I'm going to take an X-Acto and cut that little bit off so it hides the seam. Okay. So let's do this one more time. I'll do it on the square. Okay, I'm holding my foil up. The foil faces left and the sticky side up and the backing to the right. Make a hook with my index finger, come around and under, and lie that foil sticky side up on my finger. Start about 1/4 inch in, wrap the tape around. So I'm working in an upward direction. The other thing some people like to do that works for this is you can lie it down and flat like that. It does work for this snowflake project because the pieces are so small, so you can go like that. But when you're doing stained glass, sometimes you have fancy curves and big pieces. It doesn't work that well for it. So now I'm back to the beginning, overlapping it to the edge, cutting it at the edge. Again, crimping, so pushing it down with my fingers. Now I'm going to burnish it or dowel it down. And again, if you do this up high, it's hard to push down hard enough. So put your glass on the table 3 or 4 times a side. You don't have to get out every single crease, just so it's stuck really well. You don't want this coming up. Okay, so now I'll do a bevel. It's narrower, so it just is a little different when you burnish it. Okay. I'm still centering it. Using the narrower size foil, the medium 7/32. Okay, we'll crimp it. Okay, I'll burnish the outsides first. And then I'm going to do bottom and top. So I'm going to do the flat side first. And the foil will not stick to the backing, so I can see some of the sticky backing shows, so I'm going to push it over. Now this is hard to do here because the dowel is not hitting the angled bevel. So the bevel goes downhill like this. So I need to bring it over to the edge of the table so I can angle my dowel downward. So I can match this angle to this angle. Trying to get my hand out of the way so you can kind of see that. Okay, no big deal. Now we're going to do the jewel. The jewel is curved on one side. We're going to use the smaller size. I also like to grind all my pieces a little bit. That helps it stick a little, also stick. And again, I'm centering. Especially things just don't like to stick to these jewels. So I'm kind of holding it on with this left hand here as I pull and push. I'm pulling the tape tight and I'm pushing it down. And then again, I'm back to the beginning. If I need to recenter the beginning, I can lift it up a little. And then I'm going to overlap that about 1/4 inch. And again, crimp it down. Okay, dowel the outsides first. And I always like to do the flat bottom next when the top is curved. And you can see there's no way to get all those creases out, so you're just trying to flatten everything. And then I'm going to have to angle it again towards the edge. Just like the bevel to get it on. Now these globs are a little brutal. These are going to be the hardest part of your foiling. This is where you'll tell if you have dexterity and how your vision is, if you haven't had trouble yet. But what I like to do is, again, if you touch those globs a little too much, they get, your greasy hand fingerprints get on it, and the foil does not like to stick. Okay, so I'm going to use the larger size on these globs, and I'm going to put, again, I'm right-handed, I'm going to put a glove on my left hand because I'm going to hold the glob with my left hand. This way I don't get many fingerprints on it. It makes it a little bit easier. Okay, so again, I'm going to get that foil to the left with the sticky side up, make the hook with my finger go in here, And it's really hard, it's really tough to center it. You can't watch both sides of the glob. There's just no way to do it. So you're going to be watching the flat side of the glob. So I face the flat side of the glob away from me, and I start it. And this is tough because you're only putting on, it's a little over a 32nd of an inch, hangs over the back. So I am watching this distance here coming out. I'm not watching this at all. It's all just how much foil hangs over the edge here. Okay. And you can almost tell if you just press it down lightly. If you look at one of these globs, there's a point on the glob. There's a point where there's a flat edge, and then it goes to a rounded part. And you want to make sure the foil covers this flat edge to the rounded part. If it doesn't, the glob could pop out. So later it could just pop out the back. And you also have to worry about having enough foil on the front. So you want to be able to see a little of it when you look straight down. Okay. So if you have too little on the front, then it pops out the front. So you've got to have just the right amount, and it's a little over a 32nd. So you can put your foil on and get a tiny little ruler in there with a 1/16 of an inch. Most rulers have 1/16 of an inch on them, and it's got to be a little more than halfway between nothing and 1/16 of an inch. Okay, so now this is really hard to dowel. There's just no way to do it. It's really tough. It would take you forever. So instead, what we're going to do is we're going to put all the globs into a container. It works better if you have at least 8 globs. So I'm going to take my other ones. And then once I've foiled all of them, I can put the lid on and shake it. And they're all going to hit each other, and all that foil is going to get crimped down. Now, you don't want to put globs in there that aren't foiled because they could crack. And jewels are definitely softer material. You don't want to put jewels in there and do it to jewels. Okay, so let me foil my other 2 globs. So again, foil to the left, make a hook underneath. The back of the glob faces away from me, and I look straight over it. And I look at how much is hanging over the back. So I don't know, honey, you can film that, how much is hanging over. Okay. Maybe on the black, on the red, you can kind of see that. Okay, so anyway, so let's go all the way around. Okay, one more. I don't even have to push it down. I'm just going to throw it in the bucket. Okay. And now I'm going to shake them. It's going to get a little noisy. Usually most people it takes 2 minutes. You have to be aggressive with this. Okay, for me it's like 30 seconds, but you can see they're all kind of crimped down. They look pretty good. Sometimes you can flip them over and check those backs. Make sure that all the seams where the flat goes to the rounded part of the glob is covered, and those look pretty good. So that's about how much you want on the back. This might be a little hair too much on the back, but it's close enough. And then you can see how much is on the front. So these look good and ready to go. So at this point, I would say go ahead and pick your projects. Go ahead and clean them with Windex and start foiling. And then, so we'll take a break. You can do that, and then we'll go into the soldering part of the video.